Here we go now.
If you are ready to live a life of abundance, if you are ready to best your best, then come to the edge. Because if you are not living your life on the edge, you are taking up far too much room.
Here we go now.
How will I ever know what you want if you only tell me what you don't want? I'm your host, Eric Brown. Welcome back to The Edge. And with me, Mr. Mike Jones.
Hey, Eric, that is a damn good question, man. And quite often what we find is that when we are giving constructive feedback, we are literally telling people what we don't want. We are literally telling them and pointing out what they did wrong. In the context of this conversation, how will I ever know what you want from me, what you need from me when you only tell me what you don't want?
Yeah, but Mike, I've got some constructive criticism and some feedback in the past, and I benefited, right?
I don't know. You'd have to tell me if that's right or not. But what I'm going to suggest is that when you hear someone say that, I want you to come to my office at 10 a.m. today, I got some feedback from you. Honestly, I want you to determine right now in this present moment, are you expecting some positive or some negative information from that individual? Quite often, we feel that we are going to be receiving some negative information. Now, Eric just said something about constructive criticism. Okay, when somebody says that they got some constructive criticism for you, what is the one thing that you hear? What do you extract from that statement? And I'm going to submit that what you're saying to yourself right now is criticism. So we're going to talk about how to reframe constructive criticism, how to reframe feedback. But we really need you to listen with the intent to be influenced, because we're going to flip the script on you today and offer you an opportunity to receive a gift that is going to allow you to be able to create some more positive outcomes at work and at home.
Yeah, so Mike, recently I was doing annual performance reviews. We do it coming up in September, right in the middle of the year. So my question for you then, if constructive feedback or constructive criticism is not the right word, what would I say? Because I was telling these individuals things that they were doing really well, and I was pointing out opportunities for them to get better, giving them feedback.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, Eric, everybody that is looking at this pod blast that has ever received an annual review, they dreaded the moment for that review. They always felt like they were going to be told about all of the things that they had done wrong. So what I'm going to say to you is that if you have an employee, and let me throw your significant other and your children in this conversation too. So put a comma there. We're coming back to that. But if you have an employee that you are giving some feed forward to, write that word down, embrace that word. People will hear you completely differently, because that is such a 180 degree from where you were going initially that you're going to at least create a new possibility just by reframing the words that you are using. Now, those words matter, y'all. Those words create pictures, and those pictures create emotion. So when you say to somebody, I got some feedback for you, or some constructive criticism, look at the picture that is created for you, because the exact same picture is created for them. So when we are offering them feed forward, we are not talking about what went wrong, Eric. We are not talking about the things that they absolutely did wrong. We're not talking about what we don't want from them. We are communicating to them in a forward direction what we do want from them in the context of getting to a specific outcome. So when we are giving them feed forward, it has no attachment to what went wrong. Think about how much time is spent on identifying who to blame and identifying who did what wrong that created whatever the catastrophe is or the circumstance that we are experiencing. And I've had a lot of people over the years, Eric, who have said to me, if we don't identify what went wrong, how will we know what not to do in the future? Let me flip the switch on you now. I'm asking that you listen with the intent to be influenced. If I only talk about what I want you to do, if I only show you the things that I want you to do, you do not need to know what not to do in order to be successful. Because if I am communicating with clarity what I want you to do, then you are moving forward. We don't have to concern ourselves about what not to do. Here's an example that I want to give you. When I was doing the Olympic torch run back in 2001 for the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, Utah, I had just written my first book. It was a parenting book. And the name of the book was Who's Really Not Getting It? That's another subject for another day. But what I want you to do is I want you to know is I was going around the Barnes and Nobles and doing parenting programs in every city that the Olympic torch went. I was a part of that torch run. So during one of these parenting programs, I was in Vancouver, British Columbia. And a gentleman in the audience said to me, I don't believe any of that stuff that you were just talking about. And I asked him, who are you? And he said that he was the president of the Pessimist Society. And I said to him, I don't believe you. Anyway, on to the story. So what I had said during this particular parenting program is that we should never teach our children what not to do. And I gave an example of not teaching them not to run across the street. Don't run across the street is a lesson that many of us as parents have taught our children. I said to him that that is not a lesson that you should teach your children. You should never teach them what not to do. And he said to me, how will they know not to run across the street if I don't tell them, don't run across the street? I said, so let me flip this 180 degrees. And I ask him as I'm asking you, listen with the intent to be influenced. Now, if I teach my children, and I did, to go to the edge of the street, look both ways. When the street is clear, and what I mean by clear, there are no cars in the immediate vicinity. Then I want you to cross with a sense of urgency to the other side safely. Now, did I just teach them the same thing and focusing on what to do, creating a picture of what I wanted rather than what I didn't want? But we use these negative pictures of dead people getting run over by cars and some need to scare them straight by telling them what not to do. And I'm saying to you, it is an ineffective way to manage yourself and others, because now I know what not to do. You clearly have not communicated to me what to do.
Yeah, Mike, some smoking hot shit there. Feed forward. And I believe you successfully got the children across the street instead of standing there at the edge. So how do we apply this in our personal and professional lives when we're surrounded by people that are telling us what they don't want from us or from them?
And many of us have been taught to do that. Let me throw this point in there before I go a little further. When I'm teaching you what not to do, it is a fear-based way of teaching people what it is that you want or don't want from them. When I'm teaching you what to do, you will not act out of fear. You will act out of confidence because you know what to do. So if I'm working on helping to build your self-confidence, if I'm working on helping to build my self-confidence, then my focus is on moving forward, feed forward, talking about what to do, creating a picture of what I want rather than what I don't want. So since many of us have been domesticated in such a way that we've only been taught what not to do and what we don't want. I mean, I can tell you now, I have friends that I can ask them if we're going out, where do y'all want to go eat? Well, I say, let's go to Carrabba's. They say, nope, don't want to go to Carrabba's, but they can't communicate where they do want to go. But every time something is suggested, and you know you and your significant other have played this game before, every time something is suggested, they can tell you what they don't want, but they have no offering regarding what they do want. I am going to encourage you as you are managing the people at work, as you are managing your personal relationships, focus on what you want. Focus on creating and giving feed forward. If you cannot find something positive to give them feed forward for, I'm going to say that that is not a problem that they have. I'm going to say that it's a problem that you have because you likely trained them to do whatever it is that you're reviewing them for. So again, if you have taken the time to make sure that they understand what you want, you have given them the resources and you have given them the authority to do that, then you should be in good shape moving forward.
So you heard it here first, y'all. Feed forward. That moves you forward towards the things that you want. And as you work on those relationships, make sure that your entire team are focused on that same outcome of what you want.
And if you are not living your life on the edge, baby, I'm going to say this. You are giving feedback, not feed forward. So get out on that edge, because if you're not on the edge, you're taking up far too much room.
Here we go now.